know a lot about these meetings. Describe what you think happened today. I mean, was it ever serious that Putin was going to come?
No, absolutely. And he was actually clear. He never promised to come. He said he was ready to resume negotiations. And that kind of throws everything back to the spring of 2022, when Ukrainian and Russian delegations were seeing each other. But it didn't really have any impact on the course of the war. And I'm afraid that story will repeat itself again.
And that was shortly after the full-scale invasion.
Absolutely.
The delegations met, right? Were you there?
No, we never actually considered sending a foreign minister to meet an underrepresented official Russian delegation. And second, these were not legally official talks. From the legal perspective, for a couple of months, these were just two sides seeing each other without following proper legal procedures.
What do you think? I don't know whether you've seen the list of names of the Russian delegation, but they seem to be much lower level than people expected. No foreign minister, no chief of staff, obviously no Putin. And President Zelensky called it a phony delegation. What do you think would have happened?
Well, you know, there are phony wars that we know from history, and now we have a case of phony diplomacy. You see, there is a symbolism in the delegation that President Putin sent to Istanbul this time, because the head of this delegation is exactly the same person who led the Russian delegation 3 years ago. And it did not deliver 3 years ago. I'm afraid it will not deliver now. But what Putin tries to achieve here is to actually bridge his old story that he was close to strike a deal with Ukraine, but Ukraine refused to...
That's what he says.
Exactly. That's his narrative. It's a false narrative, but it's still his narrative. So he just reinforces his message that he's willing to negotiate. But the question is, if you're willing to negotiate, why did you attack at all?
OK, why did you attack? You could say, well, he thought he was going to get, you know, all of Ukraine famously, as everybody says, in 2 to 3 days. It obviously didn't happen. It's been more than 3
But he still believes in this.
No, come on.
No, he does. I assure you. It's just, for him, it's a matter, you know, the difference between him and President Zelensky and European leaders is that they are bound by electoral cycles, even if they are interrupted by the war. But Putin isn't. He has a long, you know, eternity ahead of him.
So what, he still eventually believes in getting Ukraine?
One way or another, absolutely.
So there's absolutely... So what can, for instance, a new administration seek to change in this dynamic? A new American administration?
Putin can put his plan on hold. I don't think he will ever be able to abandon the idea of subjugating Ukraine, because that's his whole mission. And apart from that, since middle 17th century, every Russian Tsar actually succeeded in doing that. So for him not to succeed is just to end up in the wrong basket of Russian leaders. And that's not what he's looking for. But there are very specific and clear instruments how to make him put his plans on hold, to delay them, and therefore buy time. First and foremost, it's oil. I mean, his war machine runs on oil, on money, on oil revenues. And this is the real needle that can make him change his mind.
So we're speaking later with Wendy Sherman, and she has a view on immediately imposing secondary sanctions, as has been floated by some Europeans. President Trump has, you know, on and off floated the idea of sanctions. Is that what you expect President Trump to do? He himself said nothing is going to change on the battlefield or around the negotiating table unless he meets with Putin.
In diplomacy, to make someone change his position, you have to strike the right balance between sticks and carrots, right? So the carrot here is when Donald Trump says, Vladimir, let's meet, let's see what we can do together. And the carrot, if you do not, and the stick is, if you do not end the war, then this, and this bad, and that bad thing will happen to you. What we've seen so far were all the sticks were going to Ukraine and all the carrots were going to Russia. I mean, by definition, by the very kind of fundamentals of diplomacy, it doesn't work. So today, I personally doubt there will be a serious kind of shower of sanctions thrown on, falling on the head of Putin because in the nearest days or weeks. But we have to understand clearly that first thing to do is oil prices or oil sanctions. Second thing to do is to continue supporting Ukraine militarily, because Putin's assessment, evaluation is that the West faltered. The West does not exist anymore. The United States walked away. The moment will come when Ukraine will begin to become weaker, and that will be his opportunity.